My name is Mohammed Abdullah. I am a CPSA alumni. I went to CPSA for a total of 11 years. It's a pretty long time. I was there from 2nd grade until 12th grade, all inclusive. After graduating from CPSA, I attended the University of Chicago for my undergraduate studies. Graduated in the year 2014 with degrees in economics and biology. And then I worked in asset management for 2 hedge funds, first in Austin and then in New York. Came back to the University of Chicago to do my MBA, graduating the year 2018. And then I joined McKinsey & Company, which is the premier consulting firm internationally. I served several Fortune 500 companies on important topics. After 4 years at McKinsey, I decided to join a small healthcare tech startup where I serve in an executive role managing the launching of new verticals for the organization, as well as several corporate functions, including data and analytics, HR, and IT.
My name is Samreen Chowdhury, and I'm a graduate of the class of 2004 and a dermatologist here in Newport Beach, California. I was raised in Chicago in the wonderful west suburbs and moved out here about 6 years ago with my husband, and now, alhamdulillah, 2 children, and we're just loving living here.
My name is Ahmed Nasr. I'm currently a spinal surgeon at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. I hold the academic title of orthopedic surgery professor, as well as professor of neurosurgery. I'm also the spine fellowship director. I did my education here at CPSA and graduated in 1993. That was followed by a mechanical engineering degree at MIT in Boston, followed by a medical degree at University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia, followed by a residency in orthopedic surgery at Rush University Medical Center here in Chicago, and lastly then a University of Pittsburgh spinal fellowship degree. After that, I took a job as a consultant at Mayo Clinic and have been there for 15 years.
When I think about the ability and the opportunities that I've had, I think back to those very formative years at CPSA when I was 6, 7 years old, all the way until I was 18 years old. A pretty big chunk of my life where I think I became a much more complete, holistic individual.
I'm blessed to be able to do what I love. As a dermatologist, I love coming to work, being able to see patients in clinic, and also being able to do procedures during my day, which just really helps break up the day and also keeps it very interesting. For me, CPSA was really instrumental in giving me the foundation to really succeed in whatever I put my mind to.
CPSA is a fantastic academic institution. I think it gives your child the best opportunity to be competitive in an increasingly competitive world. And I think in terms of where it's come over the last 20 years, CPSA has matured and grown as an institution, and it's really become a much more professional institution and school, all while maintaining a lot of the core Islamic and Muslim values that we want.
I think the teachers had a sharp eye for recognizing talent, and they really pushed their students to really excel in whatever they did, to be our absolute best. My class, for example, is full of successful graduates who are really at the top of their field, alhamdulillah.
So I was quite shocked this morning when I drove on Madison Street, and then I saw CPSA from afar, because I had an impression in my mind of what I would see, and then I saw the both old building that I recognized, but the new parking lot, and I saw how the parking lot was freshly paved, and seeing the new building, I really was quite awe-inspired. And just had to say mashallah several times when I saw the building, because after many years of not having been here, it's always a very pleasant surprise to see the upgrades to the facilities as well as the new building. I got to see the gymnasium and many other parts of the facility for the first time. This is the fruits and efforts of, it started with just a few people, and really one individual more than anyone else, Dr. Salim, who really sacrificed almost his entire career, his livelihood, his wealth, and you can see now the fruits of that. And when you really talk about sadaqah jariyah, or the ability of your good deed to go forward, one becomes inspired when they see a magnificent building and such a long waiting list for the students, because this is something that really shows you that even a very small effort with good intention can really materialize into something amazing. And obviously, we're very inspired when we see what CPSA has become.
CPSA has been very instrumental in my growth as an individual, as well as professionally since I've graduated from the institution 12 years ago. If you think about a lot of the core values that you care about as an individual, a lot of those that we derive from our deen, our religion, the best way to instill that, or to hopefully instill that in the next generation, is not only through effective parenting. While parenting is very important, your kids are going to be spending most of the time in the academic institutions in which they're learning. And that's where they're going to pick up a lot of those values, things like their morals, truthfulness, honesty, the way they interact and behave with people, things like discipline. Those are values that are critical for their ability to interact with other individuals more broadly in society, but also to progress professionally. I'm an individual who I would say am very disciplined. I work pretty hard. I like to carry myself truthfully, honestly, and I like to give back to the community. These are values. While my parents were, helpful in instilling them in me, right? And they lead by example. They teach you these things. I also learned those from CPSA. I practiced those while at CPSA. I volunteered while I was at CPSA. I was taught that. I saw that in my teachers. I saw that in my community.
When I was growing up, my parents made the decision to enroll me in CPSA. And, at first I was unsure. I didn't really know how I felt about being in an Islamic school. It wasn't something I was used to. And very quickly I realized that that was the best decision for me. And I'm of course very thankful to my parents who recognized this early. And one of the things that I take from that is, inshallah, my two young children, I plan on sending them to an Islamic school here locally because of my experience at CPSA. I mean, it is very clear to me that that is the route that I want for them.
I was already a good student, and certainly CPSA furthered that by offering me education with amazing teachers. So Dr. Nafi Hussain and others giving us the expertise at a level that you just can't find in a public school. So there was obviously that.
I would say general advice for students at CPSA is take advantage of the opportunities you have in an institution like CPSA. So that goes beyond, the academics, that you make sure that you're in a position where you have to work hard.
Listen to your teachers. They're there to guide you. They're probably spending more time with you than their own families and really care about you more than you think. I mean, when I was younger, of course I don't have the wisdom I have now, but I can now really appreciate that, these teachers were there, day in and day out, working harder than us to help us selflessly. And that's what differentiates CPSA from other schools, whether it be Islamic or other secular schools. Powerhouses like Dr. Salim and other individuals who really gave up everything they had to create, and build and nourish CPSA. It's lessons like that and people like that you look up to as role models, and really shaped, who I am today, in that, the idea of giving and, staying true to yourself and being persistent and dedicated are just few of the lessons that I took from them and my time at CPSA.
I was very fortunate that my parents were able to see the importance of this and to be able to support me in the decision to come to CPSA. I've also been very blessed to have amazing teachers at CPSA that took true time and effort with me. I think the one that I credit the most is Dr. Nafi Hussain, who was both my physics as well as my calculus teacher and mathematics teacher. And he would spend his own personal time outside of school giving us lessons. He would show up early, he would stay late, he would be available on the weekends and in the evenings. And that dedication was something that really I took with me as an educator myself to the strategy of how to deal with students. I think that true motivation that comes from a good place of really trying to help each individual student is something that is unique, can be felt by the students, and builds a lifelong connection.